Happy Monday. I am coming to you a little earlier today because I genuinely just could not wait to start reading this chapter today because we're so close to being finished. Normally, I kind of work on going through Seesaw and the PowerPoint for next week and start recording our lessons for ELA, but I was just a little too excited today, so I decided I was going to change it up a little bit and go ahead and read to you today. So we're on chapter 17. And remember, chapter 16 was when the doll family all came. Let's see, I'm trying to see what chapter 16 was called. Chapter 16 was when the dolls, Annabelle brings them up to the attic, and they are able to see Auntie Sarah for the first time in 45 years, and they kind of come up with a plan because remember, with the doll code of honor, you can't jeopardize humans finding out that dolls have the ability to come to life, and so they couldn't just pull her out from underneath the trunk, put her back in the dollhouse, because then Kate would be like, hold on, I have never seen Auntie Sarah before. She's been missing for 45 years. She would know something weird was going on. So they're having to come up with this plan, and it sounds like it's going to involve the captain. They're having to come up with this plan to try to get her out of the attic somewhere in the house and have her discovered by a human in order to get her back into the dollhouse. And like I said on Friday, this plan seems like it might work, but sometimes plans like that are a little too good to be true. So this chapter, chapter 17, is called The Captain Helps Out. Annabelle doll put her hand to her mouth and gasped. Once again, she had led the rest of the dolls to the attic, and now she was standing in the spot where Auntie Sarah had been trapped for so long, and Auntie Sarah wasn't there. She's gone, Annabelle cried softly. Again? Said Uncle Doll. No, I'm right here, Auntie Sarah came bustling out from under a footstool. I thought I saw a fine male specimen of Philodromus dispar running under here, but I guess not. I can't find him anywhere. She loves spiders. I do not. Thank goodness, Annabelle muttered to Tiffany. Are you ready to go downstairs, Sarah? Asked Mama. To be discovered? Added Mom Funcraft. I've never been so ready, replied Auntie Sarah. All right, let's go. This time, Papa led the way back to the attic stairs. Mama, can Bailey and I stay in the attic and play? Asked Bobby. Not tonight, dear. We have an important job to do. We have a mission, Tiffany whispered to Annabelle. Well, can we come back tomorrow? We'll see. Bobby, come on, said Annabelle. If you're not going to take this seriously, then you should have stayed home with Nanny and the babies. Children, that's enough, said Mama. No arguing. As the dolls neared the bottom of the stairs, Annabelle began explaining things to Auntie Sarah. Now, in case you don't remember, the door just to the right is where the parents sleep. Only now the parents are Annie and her husband. Grandma Catherine's room is downstairs. We'll pass Kate and Nora's rooms on the way to the living room stairs, added Tiffany. And once we're on the first floor, we should keep an eye out for the captain, said Annabelle. I don't know where he stays at night, but he's very crafty. But the dolls and the Funcrafts, with Annabelle, Tiffany, and Auntie Sarah in the lead, made their way to the living room without running into any humans or the captain. Annabelle breathed a sigh of relief. All right, now, where's the captain's Auntie Sarah started to ask. She paused as she looked around the living room. My, everything is so different. The furniture has been moved. No, wait, it isn't even the same furniture. And where's the radio? The Palmers don't listen to the radio much, said Bobby. Mostly they just watch TV. Of course, Auntie Sarah didn't know what TV was, even when Annabelle and Tiffany showed her the big TV that now sat where the radio had once stood. Maybe someone will turn it on while you're waiting in the captain's bed, said Bailey. Then you can see what it is. It's sort of like a radio with moving pictures, Tiffany added helpfully, but Auntie Sarah said she couldn't envision it. Well, anyway, here's the bed, said Tiffany, taking Auntie Sarah by the hand and pulling her to the horrible old sweater behind the armchair. I'm sorry, it's so hairy. Uncle Doll put his arm around Auntie Sarah. You probably won't have to stay here for long, he said. But suddenly Annabelle felt a prickle of alarm. Oh, no. What, Annabelle? Said Papa. What if the captain finds Auntie Sarah and takes her out of his bed and runs away with her? He might not play with her in his bed, you know. Or what if none of the humans looked in the bed for a long, long time? Oh, why didn't we think of these things earlier? This was a stupid idea. You forgot whom you're talking about, said Auntie Sarah. If the humans don't look here soon, I'll think of something. As for the captain, well, I've not met him, of course, but I have no doubt I could escape from him. And when I do, I'll just come back here to his bed. I'm not afraid of cats, you know. Mom Funcraft smiled at her. We find that cats can be a wonderful source of exercise. Not to mention, there's these little bugs that keep flying on me. Not to mention that they are fascinating to study, said Auntie Sarah. Now go on back to your houses, all of you. I'll be fine down here. With any luck, I'll see the TV before I come home. I'm certain I'll be back in a day or two. The dolls and the Funcraft said hasty goodbyes to Auntie Sarah. They were in their homes long before the Palmers awoke, and for a while Annabelle sat on her bed and thought about her aunt. She thought about finding her trapped in the attic. Then she thought about the day so long ago when Auntie Sarah had disappeared. Mama, said Annabelle, sliding into her chair in the kitchen where her mother was sitting at the table. Mama Doll looked up from the bit of sewing she sometimes worked on at night. Yes? Mama, I heard you say something to Auntie Sarah that when we were in the attic last night, and I didn't understand it. What was it? Asked Mama. You said, we thought you had run away. What did you mean? Mama Doll put down her sewing. Well, why would Auntie Sarah run away from us? Annabelle continued. Didn't she love us? Of course. Yeah, oh yes, of course she loved us, but she was so different from the rest of us. She was so much more bold, and we were timid, Annabelle suggested. Not timid exactly, careful. We have to be careful, Annabelle, you know that. And we felt that Auntie Sarah wanted to take chances. Sometimes that led to arguments. Auntie Sarah thought we were holding her back from things she wanted to do, and we thought Auntie Sarah was putting us in danger. So when she disappeared, Annabelle interrupted again. When she disappeared, you thought she had run away. Yes. You thought she wanted to leave us, which was a horrible thought, of course. So that's why you didn't look for her. You thought she didn't want to be found. Partly, and partly we were afraid to look. We felt terrible. Uncle Doll wanted to look for her. He wasn't sure she had run away, but Papa and Nanny and I were. And anyway, we never ever left our own house before. We never left the house on our own before. Annabelle felt a tremendous sense of relief, as if something very heavy had been lifted from her heart. Here's a picture of Annabelle and, excuse me, Mama Doll talking. Annabelle felt a tremendous sense of relief, as if something had been very heavy had been lifted from her heart. So if I did disappear, you would come looking for me, even if you were a little afraid? I mean, if you thought something awful had happened and I wouldn't be returned by Kate or someone in a few days? Oh, yes, of course, Annabelle. Annabelle leaned forward and hugged her mother. The next day, Annabelle was in a frenzy of contained excitement. How could she just sit in her house waiting for someone to walk into Kate's room holding Auntie Sarah, especially when that might not happen for days and days? Annabelle knew she was impatient, but, she thought, anyone would be impatient in this situation. She could tell that even her parents and Uncle Doll and Nanny were having trouble behaving like dolls. While Kate was still in her room getting ready for school, the adults would shift their eyes towards the door as if they heard the slightest noise in the hall. And the moment Kate left, Uncle Doll sat up from his place in the kitchen floor and said, "Oh, the agony," which made Annabelle and Bobby laugh. He can't stand it. He's just waiting and waiting and waiting for Auntie Sarah to be returned. It was shortly before noon that day when the house was very quiet and only Grandma Catherine was at home, and the dolls heard a shriek. "Oh, my stars!" Grandma Catherine cried from the living room. Immediately the dolls heard her footsteps on the stairs. Annabelle crossed her fingers behind her back. "I'll be," said Grandma Catherine a moment later as she bustled into Kate's room. "After all these years, I wonder where the captain found you." Annabelle had been left in an awkward position on the floor next to the icebox, but she had a good view of the door to Kate's room. She watched as Grandma Catherine hurried to the doll's house with Auntie Sarah cupped in one hand. "Won't Annie and Kate be surprised?" muttered Grandma Catherine as she spoke. She dusted off Auntie Sarah's clothes and polished her arms and legs and face on the edge of her blouse. When she clucked over the tear in her dress, Then she clucked over the tear in her dress. "Why, your hand is chipped," she said. "Actually, you're quite a mess. Poor Auntie Sarah." Grandma Catherine fussed over Auntie Sarah some more, straightening and brushing and adjusting and wiping. "There," she said finally. "That's better. although I don't think I can do much about your dress, she said Auntie Sarah on the couch in the parlor. My goodness, Annie and Kate have never seen you, she continued. I think I'll just let Kate find you here and see what she says. Grandma Catherine stood back and gazed at the sight of Auntie Sarah back in the dollhouse where she belonged. So that's Grandma Catherine's hand putting Auntie Sarah back on the couch in the parlor. Then she hurried out of the room with a smile on her face. The dolls waited patiently, and when they could no longer hear her footsteps on the stairs, they rushed to Auntie Sarah and surrounded her once again in a hug. We ought to have a celebration of some sort, said Mama in a whisper. We ought to have a double celebration, said Auntie Sarah. Annabelle's birthday is in 3 days. Leave it to Auntie Sarah to remember something like that all this time. Annabelle gazed at her aunt and decided she was one of the most wonderful people in the world. It worked, and it didn't take long either. I thought I remembered it taking lots of days for her to be discovered, but nope, that next day, right before noon, Grandma Catherine found her downstairs, shrieked, and brought her up and put her in the parlor. So we've got chapter 18, which is called Annabelle's Birthday Party. And then we've got the last chapter, chapter 19, which is called Grandma Catherine and the Dolls. And then we'll be at the end. Crazy! So excited to finish it. And then you guys can take the quiz number. I'll give you the level, the points, and the AR quiz number as soon as we finish it on Wednesday. So exciting. Hope you guys have a great Monday. Hop on Seesaw where all your stuff has been loaded. If you have any questions, let me know. See you guys later. Bye.